Welcome to Hamilton Fraser. I'm Sammy and this is our series of help videos. Today we're going to be talking about patient selection, and we've got Emma Brackey, our claims specialist, and Eddie Hooker, our CEO. So Emma, what is the most important element of patient selection?
The most important part of it is to make sure that the patient is actually right for the treatment. This is, at the end of the day, this is your business, and if you feel that that person isn't right for this type of treatment, then they shouldn't have the treatment.
So how would you know if someone was right for the treatment? What are the signs that they perhaps are not right for the treatment?
So what you need to do is you need to manage their expectations. You need to have conversations with them, find out exactly what they're looking for, what they're hoping to get out of the treatment, and also you need to find out if what they want to do will manage their expectation.
I mean, can I add, Emma, on that? The big difference with aesthetic practices is that the patients are electing to have the treatment. So unlike a NHS practice where generally it's reactive treatment, so you're looking to make someone better or you're looking to deal with a specific medical problem because they've been referred to you. With aesthetic practices, the patient generally will know what they want. The consumer is getting more sophisticated now, aren't they? So they're doing research before they choose the practitioner. So their expectations walking into your clinic are going to be a lot higher than, say, they would be walking in under an NHS practice. So it's really important that you spend real quality time with that patient or that customer. I think we have to treat them as customers to really get underneath not only what do they want, but why do they want it? Is it a mental issue that they feel unconfident in their appearance? Is it that they want to feel younger? Is it that they just want to have a completely different look about them? And until you understand what the drivers are of that patient, I think if you don't do that, as you say, Emma, it's a recipe for disaster.
So what would happen if a customer came to you and you understand why they want the treatment, and you don't feel that their reasons are reasons that they should have, that they shouldn't have these reasons because they're picking out parts about them that people wouldn't really notice, or you think that they're not in fact seeing what is really there?
So if someone isn't happy with their body, it's called body dysmorphia, and generally whatever they do to their body they won't be happy with. So if you have a person come in who's like that, we would always recommend that if you feel that they won't benefit from the treatment, then to actually say no and not to treat them.
And do you then have any obligations to refer this on to someone else or to try and get the patient help?
What we would generally say is if they were truly unhappy, if they had psychological issues, we would then refer them back to their GP to see if they can get some help from their GP.
Again, I think it's a lot to do with managing expectations and spending real quality time with the patient. I mean, remember, we're talking about medical practitioners. It should come naturally to you to want to ask the right questions. A good example of that might be that you have a young lady coming in who actually is seeing something that no one else is, or the treatment that they're asking you to do actually would have a detrimental effect on them going forward. So I think it's asking a series of questions, and if at any point you are concerned that the patient is asking for something that A, is not right, B, they don't really know why they're asking for it, I agree with Emma, get them back to their GP and get some referral notes from the GP.
So do you have to check your patient's medical history then before you treat them?
So you do ask about their medical history. You do ask them to be as open and as honest as possible. Sometimes if you feel that you do need to have access to their medical records, you will need to explain to them that they need to fill out a consent form so the practitioner can go to their GP and get the records. However, again, if you're in a situation where you don't believe what they're saying, or if you think something's not right about their medical history, then the best thing to do is say no and not go ahead with the treatment.
I always go on, make sure you listen to your gut.
Yes.
If you think there's something wrong,
Don't do it.
don't do it, because generally it will go wrong, won't it?
It will.
So let's talk about people who have been dissatisfied with other treatments they've had in the past. Is this something to be aware of?
I would go ahead with caution. Just because someone has had previous treatments with someone else and they're not happy with them doesn't automatically mean that they're not going to be happy with the treatment that you do. Obviously, different practitioners use different techniques, different fillers. For instance, if you had a lip filler with one person and then went and had a different lip filler with someone else, doesn't mean you're going to get exactly the same results. But I would move with caution because you know that they have had a history of being unhappy with the treatment. So you need to find out why.
But again, ask those questions.
Yes.
Have you ever had these treatments before? 9 times out of 10, you will know the practitioner who's done that. And if they're coming to you moaning about a particular practitioner, and you know that practitioner, you know that's not the way that they run their business, you know, because you're circulating, you're socialising with them, you're connecting with them, then you know that there's a problem somewhere else.
If a patient comes to you and has been dissatisfied in the past, is there a way to find out if they've ever brought a formal claim against anyone else?
No. So you can't sit and ask the question, have you ever made a claim against...
But you can't find this out?
You can't find that out, no.
Okay.
So again, it's to do with the questioning, and most people, in my experience, it becomes a very personal experience, so they tend to open up. And this is why I'm always saying to practitioners, wherever possible, don't do the treatment immediately after the consultation or the discussions. Always have a good period of time between discussions, send them away to think about things, send them away to actually see if they've got any additional questions, have their family got any additional questions, has their partners got any additional questions, and bring them back after. And maybe even, if you have the time, maybe do 2 or 3 consultations. And I think the best practitioners are those are the ones that take their time. You'll get the job and you'll get the money at some point, but you want that patient to feel really comfortable with you. And talk around. If you feel that there is a patient that is coming to you that you don't think that you should be treating, pick the phone up to a friend who's in the industry, talk it through with them. Never feel frightened to say, I can't fit you in this week, can you come back next week and we'll have another chat?
Yeah, that's interesting. So let's say we have a red flag patient and you're working at a clinic and you feel that the patient's not right for the treatment, and the clinic owner says that you have to go ahead with the treatment, and then there's a claim brought against you or the clinic. Is this your fault?
See, with that, that's quite a hard question because it depends on if you're employed by the clinic or if you're self-employed. If you are self-employed and you're just carrying out the treatments within that clinic, you can say no. If you're not happy or something doesn't sit right, you can say no. However, if you were employed by that clinic, you would, and if the owner wanted you to do it, you can show your concerns. However, you would be in breach of your contract if you didn't actually carry out that treatment.
So if you are not self-employed and you work with a clinic, then it wouldn't be your fault?
You would be insured under the clinic's policy, so any claim brought against them would go under a clinic's policy because you wouldn't have your own insurance because you're not self-employed.
But again, if you're constantly being told by your clinic owner to do something that you're uncomfortable with, you'd have to question whether you wanted to stay with that clinic. Again, remember, you are the medical practitioner and it is your reputation at stake. If, to take it to the nth degree, if you did something that was, you were asked to do something that was against the protocols of treating patients or your ethics, you could be pulled up in front of your general counsel and that's something you don't want to happen. So I think in this situation, if you're employed, definitely show your concerns. Most clinics will say fine because they'll have the same opinion. If you're self-employed, walk away.
All right, so what would you say is the most important takeaway then from patient selection?
Just making sure that the patient is right for the treatment. Make sure that you go through everything with them. Make sure that they are correct for the treatment and that the treatment will work for them.
And for me, it's listen to your heart. If you think that there is a problem case, send it down the road to or him or her down the road to your competitor. You know, let them take the problem. Don't take the problem on for yourself, because trust me, if anything does go wrong, any claim affects you. So stick away from it and do what you think is right rather than what the patient thinks is right.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Emma, and we'll see you next time.